Hey everyone! The holiday season is nearly here, and that can be a very festive time for many people. However, this is also a time when people tend to struggle. Not everyone has a good relationship with family. The cold, snowy weather can be especially difficult depending on your living situation. And we as a world have faced unexpected hardships this year. Talking with transgender friends who are struggling urged me to reflect on my past, and I realized that there is some overlap in our experience. For this video, I would like to discuss a specific mental health problem that I faced leading up to my transition. It was not a transgender specific issue, but it was intertwined with my trans experience. And given the rationale behind it, I imagine that many other trans people can relate. When I was depressed, I realized that for much of my life, I did not feel like a real person. I felt like there was no real me. And no, facing myself did not give me a persona. Although I do have a fursona, she doesn't give me any supernatural abilities. When I was in high school, I was trying to achieve academic success for the purpose of a good post-secondary education. But although it was a conscious decision, I was very much just trying to do what I thought I was supposed to do and what would be good for me, and not so much what I felt as a person and what I wanted to do. When I dropped out of university and had this career path taken away from me, the school kicked far out of reach, I was forced to strip away the walls that I built up, and I realized that underneath there was nothing there. I did not have a personal goal of my own, and once I stripped away the psychological persona that I had built up, I realized that I didn't have any sense of self. I did not know what I wanted as a person. I did not know what I liked as a person. I did not know what I enjoyed as a person. And while I had made every decision in my life consciously, in retrospect, I was basing all my logic on a false premise. The false premise being that I had an actual identity. Trans people are often taught at a young age to act in a way that seems natural to other people but feels unnatural to us. Since this happens at such a young age, it can be very difficult to realize that that's not a very healthy mindset. There is an inherent dissociation, and this resulted in a gap in personal development. I was not really able to explore my identity as a teenager. And although I tried to explore myself in the furry fandom, there was only so far I could go without the realization, the understanding that I am trans. People often say that for trans people, it's like our personal growth gets stunted once we hit puberty, and it only starts progressing again after we start transition. I essentially used a psychological mask for much of my life. When I graduated, I did not have a proper sense of self. I actually discussed this specific issue with mental health professionals, but none of them were able to help me. What resolved the issue for me was realizing I was trans, starting transition, and figuring out who I am as a person. However, that was not the only issue. Closely linked with the idea of me not being a real person was the idea that I was a failure. At the core of my mask was a path that I thought my life was going to take, and it was essentially the core rationale for many of the actions I made in my life. Ultimately, I failed. And once I built up the resolve to return to university and get a degree for myself on my own terms, that too was no longer possible because of my previous actions. I felt like I had failed there as well. The expectations that were put on me weighed me down, and the expectations that I put on myself weighed me down too. These problems took longer to solve. I needed to realize that I could only play my cards the best I could. And although I have not and will not achieve as much as the average person, I am still valid and real. Part of why I started this channel is that I wanted people to see this too. You don't need to be educated, skilled, talented, or successful to live as a person. You don't need to live up to the expectations that people put on you. You don't need to live up to your own expectations either. I know people who are having a really hard time right now, but what matters most in life is your well-being and enjoyment. No achievement in life will matter as much as that. My takeaway from this video is that it is important to know who you are as a person. That is significantly more important than what you are as a person and what you do as a person. Once you take off your mask and strip away all your goals, there must be someone there. This is important regardless of whether you are transgender. You need to be able to live your life as you. Life being finite is what makes it worth living. Anyways, thank you for watching. It is my hope that during times of hardship, my content can be a bit more grounded. I hope you all have a safe holiday season. See you next week. Bye.